All right.
Get ready for an engaging and musical evening at the historic Texas Theater in Dallas, Texas on September 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Join us for a meeting of the minds, love and relationship town hall. Brought to you by Alchemizing Energy and Zulu Vision. Sponsored by Real Life Productions, Preference Dating, Inner City Creative Group, and House of Consciousness. Hosted by Sa Netter of House of Consciousness and moderated by Sabrina Williams of Preference Dating. This event features a lineup of renowned experts, including Anton Daniels, Napashira, Kevin Wesley, Amber Ali of Jocelyns Cabaret, The Smart Guy, Baba Shaka, and Sydney Starr from Batty South Atlanta. Performances by Shaka Zulu and the Tribe Zulu family and Phil Wade. Elevate your experience with exclusive balcony VIP seating, complete with delectable vegan cuisine from Zulu Vegan Cooking. Participate in this interactive town hall where your voice matters. Engage in thought-provoking discussions on topics like dating, polygamy, polyamory, monogamy, swinging, and single lifestyles. Connect with like-minded individuals. Tickets go on sale now. So get yours today because this event will sell out.
All righty. So, slight change in lineup. Baba Shaka grew ill with COVID.
Shout out to
And
Baba. Get better.
shouts out to Baba. But just let everybody know, please go on ahead and put the masks on lately because COVID is running rampant.
That part. That
It's
part.
hitting people up. It's people getting hit up with that COVID. Okay, so
Really.
please be careful about it all. So in his place, now Baba Shaka was bringing a different perspective. He was discussing the BDSM as well as the swinging lifestyle. So in his place, he said, "You know what? I can't do the event, but I do have the perfect person, and that is Taurus, right? So Taurus, I want you to introduce yourself to our great audience here."
How y'all doing? I'm Taurus from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I am a Dom living a free life, basically, point blank period. Nothing behind that, just me being me. So I've been doing this all my life. So it is just one of them things that I really am happy to be on this show and to express some of my views on different things.
All right, great. Can you explain, like, how long have you been in this lifestyle? What is the lifestyle for some people that just don't understand what even the things mean? What is a dom? What is it? Just give us like imagine that we are elementary students that have never heard of this before, and just break it down to us.
Lifestyle is just the way some people live their lives. It's pretty much kink based lifestyle. The aspect of lifestyle is kink based. It is somewhat sexual, somewhat not, and it's asphyxiating. It's a lot of different things. What is it about that I want to say it's more or less like something that everyone has within them that they're afraid to let the public or let it be known that that's something that they have within them. What was your question? I'm sorry, I apologize.
I was saying that just explain things. Okay, so you said kink, right? What is kink? What exactly is kink?
Kink is an additive to your sexual appetite. It's more or less like an additive to your sexual appetite, like say choking, breath play. The thing about breath play is that once you eliminate the oxygen to the brain, you get a floaty feeling. And once you release that chokehold or, that chokehold on your throat, there's a rush of hormones and everything else that adds to the sexual event that's going on. So kink is more or less an additive to your sexual life, whether it be bondage, whether it be spankings, whether it be choking, whether it be voyeurism, anything that you want to do, basically. Living your life just open not afraid to express what you want in the bedroom and outside of the bedroom.
Okay, so all right, so kink is choking, or is it other things as well as choking? Like
Kink
some
is
people.
kink is a large number of things. Kink can be voyeurism, which is watching people have sex or have intercourse. Kink can be BDSM. Kink can be it can be a vast majority of anything. I mean, choking. It could be bondage. It could be um, discipline, sadism, masochism.
When you say sadism and masochism, what are those things? Like, what is sadism and
Sadist
masochism?
is someone that enjoys inflicting pain on someone, and masochist is one that enjoys receiving the pain. So
Okay.
there is joy in pain, and there is joy in giving pain. Um, I got into BDSM because of my grandfather. So I grew up in this lifestyle. Unfortunately, it's kind of a funny story now, but it's unfortunate. I grew up in the lifestyle. My grandfather was dom, and my parents were in the lifestyle. They were more into the swinging aspect of things, and that's how I got into BDSM. But yeah, BDSM is a way of expressing love to someone. It's just a different type of love. It's a different type of emotion, energy that you're expressing to someone, and they're expressing to you. Exchange of energy, basically, and that's what BDSM is.
Okay. So here's the thing, like so when people kind of think of this, they like kind of might go back to like the 40, what is it called? The 58 shades of gray type of thing
Yeah,
where the movie came out. And is this something that like kind of popped up more when that movie was out or when them books came out with the
I,
black community, or is this something that always existed? Because I'm like, dude, when did black people started getting into this? I always thought this was something that only other like Caucasians did. So
no,
it's interesting.
it's definitely a black thing. I mean, anytime that, okay, say for instance, take an example of a woman being sensual with a man that's aggressive, that's dominant, and she's enjoying that energy, and when he grabs her aggressively and he holds her tightly, she gets a rush, somewhat of a turn on. When he holds your hands while you guys are engaging in intercourse and he holds you down, it's a rush. It's That's all inclusive of BDSM. I mean, it's always been there. It's just more acceptable at this point, especially after the movies, the books, and everything else that come out. Everyone wants to explore. To be honest with themselves, it's always been there. I mean, you can see on social media or anywhere else where women are, oh yeah, pick me up, throw me around, throw me on the bed, la la la, tie me up, whatnot. You know what I mean? So
Yes, just so you know, we are free to ask questions, but I want to first like really get into Taurus first, and then but you guys can ask questions in the chat. But but there's gonna be a time we're gonna ask people to come up and ask direct questions, like actually come up here. But you can ask questions in the chat, and I'll put them here, just like you see right here, and then we can like ask the questions like that. But if you want to talk directly, we'll be able to do that a little bit later on. So yes, we are free to ask questions. Sorry about that. Keep
hey,
going. Keep
Crystal.
going.
No, it's always been a part of a bedroom scene or sexual or intercourse. I mean, you've got relationships where men are out here saying, I want my wife to be, I want my queen to be submissive, and I mean that's a part of BDSM as well. I mean, it's just discipline. It's discipline, dominance, submissiveness, and it's a turn on for people in general. Like I said, with the books and the movies and everything else, it's just more acceptable to talk about it, to bring it out as far as blacks are concerned.
So here's a question. So we've been actually doing this and not even knowing it. Lately, like there's been like a whole thing, put your hand around my neck and
Right,
choke me a
right,
little bit while you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Or
right. And
pull
they
my
and
hair and spank me on the behind, right? So all that stuff has been going on, but we don't realize that this is some form of what you say
BDSM, correct.
BDSM.
Correct. That
So people are
they're
doing
falling
it, they don't even
submissive.
realize they're doing it.
Right. Falling submissive to your dominant energy. basically. I mean, it's just an exchange of energy. Like I said, like you said, pulling hair, choking. Like I said, with choking, people didn't understand that. I mean, it is dangerous, but at the same time, it's the lack of oxygen going to the brain, and it gives you that floaty feeling while you're in the middle of intercourse. And then once you let go of that throat and let that oxygen go back through, it's a rush of endorphins and hormones and everything else, and that's what intensifies a climax. So I mean, it's always been there. People, like I said, they can say, "Oh, BDSM is bad" or whatever. It's leading to this or it's leading to that. We've always been a part of that or this.
So, another thing that happens too is like, have you seen like a guy might be arguing with his girl, right? And then she might get a little bit aroused, like get kind of horny by just the argument, right? So we
Right.
might be doing stuff like just by like getting into it, right? Like inciting the argument just to get the man mad so he could like yell at us, right? And then we
Right.
get a little bit,
So you can bring that beast out of them, basically. So you can bring that dominance out of that man. I mean, it's somewhat toxic, without really talking through it and explaining it. Like sitting down and having conversations. Why are you like this? But at the same time, yes, it's a form of BDSM. It's a woman forcing a man, or a man forcing a woman to bring out that dominance in them, and then when they see that dominance, it turns them on completely, and they fall into that energy.
so all right, so explain, you've been in the scene in Dallas for how many years?
All my life, basically.
Wow. And we're not gonna get into. We're not gonna tell you. Do you care about telling your age? Like,
I'm 46. I'm 46.
wow. So you all your life, even as a child, like
My
wow.
like I said, my grandfather was uh, more of an abusive, dominant guy, Dom, and my parents were lifestyle. So that house party, that the back then they didn't have all the acronyms and everything else, but call it rock star parties. We were the house that people went to when they wanted to go out and have a good time, party, and turn up. So yeah, I would wake up every weekend and see nudity, drugs, and everything else. It was a I grew up in it. So
You know what's so crazy is that my mom used to have those, like, not the BDSM. I don't even know what kind of parties they were, but
it's
it
more or
was some
less like
kind of
rock
parties
star.
going on. They was partying back in the 70s and the 80s. They was getting down.
Exactly. That's the swinger aspect of thing. That is the rock star orgy swinger aspect of things. That we've been
I
doing.
remember waking up and seeing my mom butt naked just walking through the house, and I was like, "What is going on?" Like I still remember that. Like what?
It's
So
been there. It's been there.
it
It's just like
probably
I said.
was wilding out on in the other room, all kind of wild. You know what I'm saying? Oh man! Oh no, mom,
They messed
mama,
you up for the weekend. Huh? That was
you know.
too funny. But yeah, they've been doing it for a long time. Like I said, it's just now, whereas it's more, it's spoken about. It's out in the open now. I mean, it's more welcoming at this point.
So how much do you think has changed the scene by it being like more stuff with like the 50 Shades of Grey? Do you think what has it changed the crowd? Like, have you been through it? You've been into this movie only came out like what, about 10, 15 years ago, right?
50 Shades of Grey is not a good depiction of BDSM, but yes, because like I said, because of the movies, excuse me, because of the movies and the books, it has opened it up for everyone to be a part of, and it has changed. A lot of people skip the rules and regulations. They don't really talk. They don't really do their research and why they're having the urges to do certain things, and they're getting wrapped up in it. So the scene has become more or less open for any and everybody, whether you're going through a breakup, whether you're going through just some things at home and you're just out for a moment. It's not necessarily their lifestyle. They're just in it for the summer or in it for a season. And they come in with a lot of mixed emotions and everything else. But it has definitely changed. It's not as intimate and sexy as it used to be, in the larger communities.
So it's kind of like, but one thing that when I was talking to Baba Shaka about it is that sometimes it can trigger trauma within a person, like they might have some pent up trauma. Maybe their father used to beat them on the behind or whatever. You're
Yeah.
doing that. Like, how do you know when you're crossing the line?
That's communication and being able to read their energy. As far as me, I have a sub now that has issues. You know, I've had subs in the past as well that have issues. And let's say, for instance, let's take, for example, cutting. You know, I can pretty much give them a session and it soothes the urge for them to hurt themselves or harm themselves. Or if I say, hey, you know, a rule is you can't cut yourself, I will. So and I can do it in more in a safer way, in a fashion. And it's giving them the opportunity to be loved by someone instead of judged by someone.
So you would actually do the cutting of the person that's a cutter,
Yeah.
and that will solve their ability to. So, do you get calls all through the night? Like, okay, like I'm about to cut myself. You got to go over there and like just to get you some
Not
knives out
not
and get
not
rid
with
of the
that
cut?
not that with that particular situation, but I have gotten calls throughout the night on a lot of emotional situations. And BDSM is not just like the cutting, it's not just the flogging, which is, you know, spanking or whatnot. It's also cuddling. You know, it could be a little bit of anything. It's just the great transfer of energy between the two people. Um, I had Crystal Witch joined on here right now. I hope she don't mind me expressing this, but she was going through something at that particular moment, right then and there, and I just felt the energy to reach out and hug her. And we stayed there and hugged. I think in a dominant stance, you know, I'm like a big bear. I'm 6'6", you know, 340 pounds. So um, sat there and she just felt at home like a little kid and just started crying and released a lot of things within her right then and there. I mean, BDSM is a lot of different things. It's not just sexual. A lot of times people associate BDSM with sex, and a lot of times it's not. It can include sex, but it's not a lot of times inclusive of sex.
So you might do a whole session in that, and it'd be like zero sexual encounter at the end or at the beginning or nothing, just completely like
90% of the time. 90% of the time.
90% of the time. Wow.
Mhm.
So
90% of the time I don't even take my clothes off.
wow.
Yeah, people
So
act sexualized
so
today.
is it like so you're basically domineering over a person, and then they are like submitting to you.
Mhm.
And because like I have a friend of mine who she's a transgender and a dominatrix, and she was talking about she deals with a lot of like Caucasian clients,
Mhm.
and she says it can be very therapeutic at times because a person might be going, so it's almost like you become like a psychiatrist at some point. Is
Exactly.
that true?
Exactly. You offer a form of comfort that the traditional avenues don't offer. Exactly. So yeah, it is. I mean, I mean, you know, it's we do couples. Like, say for instance, I used to do couple classes. Intimacy, so forth and on. Inclusive of BDSM, knowing how to read a person, knowing how to take your time and research your mate's body and stuff like that. I mean, it's really important in your relationship in general. Even if you don't consider yourself a part of BDSM, you can learn a lot of things from it. So yeah, I just blew a mile with that one. Yeah.
Well, no, honestly, you know what? I used to be a DJ for a swingers nightclub, like
Mhm.
event. I used to be the DJ, but I was like the warm up DJ. Like before the getting down started getting down, I would be the one that people start off just dancing, and and then the other DJ would come on, and then that's when everybody would start the other. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I do have some experience as a from an onlooker's perspective from that scene. And from the BDSM part, there was a guy who used to throw these events in DC called Bound,
Hmm. Hmm.
and which is what's very interesting is like the people that you'll meet at these events, right? These people are these might be high up people. Like I think there was the mayor of something at the event,
Right.
one of them, and he
Right.
like to just suck on feet, and this lady had her whole foot down this dude's throat, almost like what? I was like, whoa, and I I messed around and this is a crazy story. the guy was sitting on like a bed, right? And
Mhm.
there was like these like kind of like surgical equipment, and I
Right.
was like, doing the thing with the surgical equipment. He just yes, mistress, and then yes, mistress. And I looked down and it was blood, and I was like, whoa. So how do you like so when blood gets involved, and how does that not freak you out? Because is
It's
it
a
not
different.
supposed to get involved or what?
Everybody has their own thing. Blood play is another aspect of BDSM. It depends on the person. It depends on that bottom, that sub, that submissive. It depends on what they need, and what they're willing to give, and what they're willing to submit to you. Um, I don't necessarily do a lot of blood play, but I know a lot of people who do. And majority of the time, like you said, a lot of higher up people end up being submissive. I have clients that are really successful, six-figure clients, and they need that moment of submission in their life so they can just let go of all responsibilities, point blank period, and have they're in a space at that point where they have someone they can trust with their deepest secrets. And like I said, it's a therapy session, so
It's therapy.
it is.
Person. So it really is basically people like with they might be so say a person might be like a what a so what would make a submissive versus is there like a certain archetype that would be submissive versus dom?
Uh, the most submissives that I know naturally are submissive. I want to say we all have a little bit of submissiveness in us. Even though I am a dominant personnel in my relationship, at times I am submissive. Um, it is like I say, when you go see a movie that you don't want to see with your queen or your wife or whatnot, whatever you want to call her, it's a movie that you don't want to see, but you're submitting to it just because it's going to make her happy. Point blank period. Everyone has a submissive side within them. It just depends on how you use it. There's no real say on who is submissive or who is dominant, in my opinion. To be honest with you, we got switches. We have different people that are uh, just all over the place. To be honest, it's just how you feel. Try it out. See what it feels like. See where you're most comfortable at. Some of us are natural dominant. Even when we've been dominant, I have been submissive to a dominant when I was younger.
So say if a person is like way more dominant, like I remember we were talking on the phone, and I think that our host was saying that I think I'm more of a dominatrix, and then you were saying, well, most people like you that would be more dominant probably would actually be better, like as a submit. Like you said something to the effect of that you'd be surprised that you'd be more submissive in a situation.
It because with what she was saying as far as she wanted to be dominant because she liked the feeling of what she got from those people. What I'm saying, hey, take this, eat it like this or whatnot, whoop whoop. And I said, you'd be surprised running across the correct dominant or dominant that matched your energy or to be submissive. You'd be surprised at how submissive you could be. At times, I would say you need to take on a submissive role just to understand the importance of it. And in the Black communities, people see submissive as weak, and it's not. It's full of power. At any point, you can take your permission back. And with that being said, the dominant sits back just like this. Submissive holds all the power. To be honest with you,
Wow. So the actual catch is that people think that being dominant is the power, but really the person that's submissive holds the real power.
correct.
And that's what this panel is really about, relationships, right?
Hmm.
You have like this thing called the red pill, and you have like the incel movement. Then you have the pink pill. And what's happening is that they're basically fighting against each other because the red pills are talking about, well, the women need to be more submissive, right?
Hmm.
And the pink pill is damn near saying, well, you know what? We're tired of being slaves. Marriage is slavery. We're tired of it. We're putting up our aprons and screw the men. You know what I'm saying? We don't need the men anymore.
Right.
That's really what this is about. So I'm showing in this whole thing that different types of relationships. So we have a single person, We have you. You know, are you single? Are you married? Or
No, no, I have a queen and I have a submissive as well.
okay,
So
so would you consider yourself polyamorous, or would you
yeah,
consider yourself
I'm
married?
poly. Yeah, I'm
Okay, so you're poly. So we have a polygamous. So would you are you polyamorous or are you polygamous?
polyamorous. So
Okay, so we have a polyamorous person. We have a person who's been married for like 19 years. Then we have like a polygamist, and we have a single person on the male side. Then on the other side, the female side, we have a transgender. We have a single woman. We have a polyandrous woman, um, a polygamous woman, and I'm still like filling that last slot. I'm still trying to figure out who I want to do for that. So basically, I'm mixing this panel up. I really want to really get a good conversation. I want to discuss the things that the divide in our community.
right.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it boils down to communication. I think it, you say you got the red pill and the blue pill. I mean, you're most people are trying to force dominance on someone, um, and really, to be honest, it's a natural submission. It truly is a natural submission when you meet that right energy, or when you supply the correct safe space for that energy to manifest. Then it's crazy, man. I mean, point blank period. If I provide this space for you to be submissive and trust in me, you'd be surprised how submissive you could be. But for me to come up to you and say, "Hey, I need you to be submissive," without giving you anything to indicate that you can trust me with that power, is ridiculous.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I need you to talk to everybody, all the men in the world. Because this is that's what's happening is that they're like, oh, you men, women need to submit. It's like submit to what? What am I submitting to?
I mean, it does go both ways, though. Okay, so here's my thing. A woman lives with both parts. A woman is a woman man. So she is woman and she is man. Men are men, correct? So I can empathize to a certain extent to a woman, and a woman can empathize more to me than anything. I see a lot of masculinity. Women have always lived with the masculinity. I mean, since the beginning of time. You've lived with the masculinity, but set back in your femininity. Nowadays, more women are more comfortable in their masculinity. And I think it's more or less in like a protective state. It's more or less like a protective state because that same woman that is so masculine and so out here rah 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 comes across, like I said, comes across the right one that makes her feel completely comfortable. She sits back in her femininity.
What do you consider as a woman being in her masculinity? What does that mean?
uh, believing that she's built all the way around for everything. To break it down in the rawest form, God created me 6'6", 340 pounds to pick up a boulder. He created a woman for me to turn around and ask her where to place it to create a solid home, a solid foundation.
Wow.
It's a team. It's a team. No one is greater than the other. Each one still has the same amount of equal power.
Wow. You're the first person I heard that actually gave a really sound answer to that question. Wow. Why does it take the BDSM guy to not to understand that? What is it that's a difference in your lifestyle that make you see things differently than most men?
Living a purpose. We love in a purpose. We um, care for our partners with a purpose. Um, I wake up and I changed. I found out a long time ago that I changed my thought patterns. Men and women. When you're in a relationship, it's no longer an argument. It is a disagreement, right? Because wordplay is the argument versus, let's say, a heated debate or a heated discussion, an emotional discussion. The word argument carries a negative vibe. Emotional discussion carries something deeper than that. So when you get into a relationship, it's no longer an argument. Change the way that you think about, words like that, argument, which carries negative vibes. And if you consider the argument within your relationship, guess what? you're going to have all this negative rah energy for the person that you so-called care for, versus a heated discussion or emotional discussion. It's something that this discussion hopefully can get to the root cause of what's going on emotionally. If you think about it like that versus an argument, then that's going to help you change how you move and how you see the other person. So a lot of people see the other person, once they get irritated or once they get emotional disturbed, they start viewing that person that's in that relationship fighting for them like someone outside of that relationship, outside of that home. So you got to change the way you think once you enter into a relationship.
Do you feel that men are naturally more polygamous than monogamous?
Of course, of course, women can get pregnant once, 9 months. They're done for 9 months. Within that 9 months, man can impregnate as many women as possible. I think that there were several different type of people in this world. Some people want to play it safe. Some people want to be comfortable where they are, and that's good and gravy. I have no problem. Hey, more power to you. If you want to be monogamous and stay within that bubble, so you got gamblers and you got people that don't gamble. Well, some people want to reach a deeper level of intimacy, or want to try this out or want to try that. Those are the gamblers, and they go out there and they gamble a little bit with it. I don't judge either one of them.
Do you think like the swinging like lifestyle could make couples last longer?
To be honest with you, swinging is different than BDSM. Swinging is more sexual based than BDSM kinks. Like, where BDSM is in a label of kinksters, and swinging is a separate entity. It's still kinky, but it's not kinksters. It's more sexual based. It it depends on what your needs are. To be honest with you, it really depends on what your needs. We can say, hey, I'm okay with eating steak every day for the rest of my life. Or sometimes I want to mix it up and eat, some sloppy Joe or something like that. But you have to have a solid foundation to go into the swinging aspect, versus you can go into the kink aspect and bring something fundamental to your bedroom. Like, a married couple can get in the kinkster aspect, never go outside of their marriage and spice up their actual intimacy. Swingers is more or less like involving other people to have an intimate session with you guys. So, I mean, it depends on how that marriage is sitting, to be honest with you.
So do you think that's where a lot of like prostitution, where guys might be like going to a prostitute because their wife is not doing like or going to strippers or whatever because their wife is not doing like the weird stuff, that the kinky stuff and so by bringing that aspect in, it might bring you closer together as a couple.
I think it boils back down to communication. I believe that a lot of men are not expressing the level of kink that they want. And they're also not they're not giving the space that's needed for her to open up to that kink. I'm gonna be honest. That's the honest answer.
And
You gotta open up the
one
space.
other thing is that when you get into like the homosexual community, right?
Mhm.
Like man on man. So it's, to me, what I understand about that is a certain level of power play going on there. You have one man overpowering another man, and they're like performing like anal or whatever. But I believe it's really a power dynamic there that involves like some kind of kinky thing. That's like a kink about like you are a, they even actually call it like you're a bottom and I'm a top, right? So dom
Sure.
sub, right? So it is like the homosexuality like an extension of like the kink community.
It is not. Homosexuality is a preference. It is what you naturally gravitated to. If a man is attracted to a manly energy, masculinity, dominance, then that's just what he's naturally attracted to. If a man is attracted to the submissiveness of another man, which is, I feel like I need to dominate another man or whatnot, top or bottom, I love the way this man feels or whatnot, then that's not an extension of a kink. It's not an extension of anything in that aspect. That's just the sexuality.
So is the kink community, is it interracial? Do you see that the more black kink crew is like kind of like off to themselves, or does it mix in race?
Oh, it mixes. Oh my God, we mix a lot. Mix a lot. I mean, we mix a lot with interracial, the LGBT community, shit, any and everybody on this planet. Like I said, everyone has a bit of kink within them. So we interact with everyone. I see a lot of blacks. I see a lot of different races. I see a lot of different sexualities in it as well. So the kink community does reach out a lot more nowadays, like I said, because it's more acceptable. What is
Okay,
that?
so C. Shay said the transparency required for a couple to be successful in swinging can improve the communication within a marriage, therefore, can improve the marriage.
It is. And what I tell people when you go into the swinging community, if that's what you decided to do, first of all, you have to be open to discussion and not afraid to have those hard discussions. I suggest that you start off with soft swaps and stuff like that, which is no penetration and anything else like that, which whereas you get to see your mate be a little bit touchy-feely, intimate or whatnot with someone else, and then you can finish the job as far as penetration. So if you're going into the swinger world, I suggest you start slowly, and after every opportunity that you have an open discussion. I mean, those hard discussions. How do you really feel? And you got to revisit that, because jealousy is within everyone. And I've been in it all my life and I still have jealousy, but I know how to address it. I know how to communicate it. If I did this, or if I could get you to do this, and that would help me out of my jealousy aspect. Um, but yeah, I mean, it can, and it can tear you up if you are trying to do it for something else. If you're trying to, I hate the fact that I see a lot of women going into the swinging aspect, believing that they can keep their relationship strong. They're not going into the swinging aspect because it's something that they want to be involved in, or it's turning them on, or it's not. It's something that they want to do to keep their man, not knowing that even if you do slide into this atmosphere, it's not guaranteed that you keep your man. More than likely, you'll lose him.
Wow. So what about the single people? That's like, so is there any like crossover where, you think you're doing like a swinger or a event? Well, I mean, you're more. Are you more into the BDSM than swinging, or are you just both
I,
first before?
BDSM is my thing. Like I can't go without BDSM in my life. The added the added stuff is a plus. You know what I mean? So I am adapted to both sides due to the fact that I did grow up in the household like that. So, but yeah, I mean, okay, say that. What was the question one more time?
I was trying to make first. I was trying to like clarify whether or not you were in both, because when I would get into swinging, you would get back. Well, the BDSM. So I was making sure that you weren't just only one. If you actually were in both. Um, the question is that with the swinging lifestyle, like, okay, one thing is you said that there might be some jealousy, right? That you might have. So
Or
so
understand?
even you being a person that's been in the scene for X amount of time, you still get jealous sometimes.
Of course, yeah, it's a natural thing.
And being polyamorous, like you just don't. It's not like, so. It's like a thing where even though you are in control, you understand what's going on for years on years. There's still like that moment where you're like, okay, that's enough.
Still emotional. You are human. You are still going to have these emotions, and that's the coolest thing. Um, that's the coolest thing about this environment is you get deeper in touch with your emotions and who you really are, and the communication between you and your partner. You have to dig deep just to be a part of it versus a vanilla couple that, every day talks about work, talk about finance, and that's all they pretty much talk about. The kids, regular things, you know what I'm saying? And in this community, we're forced to truly talk about what's bothering us, what's ailing us, what's going on with you? Why has your mood changed? Why did you look like this during the last event? So forth and so on. And we really dig deep.
So, in regular relationships, like there is, I'm glad that she brought this as I'm a succubus and I love it, right? Now, in regular, like monogamous relationships, right?
Mhm.
Men do practice a certain level of sex magic. whether or not us women realize it or not, you know,
Mm-hmm.
when a man is talking to you and saying certain things to you, that is going into your subconscious mind. And I don't think a lot of men are understanding what they're doing, and or maybe they do know what they're doing, and that's why a lot of women get like all go crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What type of Go ahead, go ahead.
I mean, I think, to be honest with you, most of the guys, it's more of a selfish thing. You know, a lot of guys is more of a selfish thing. Some guys, they do know what they're doing. A lot of guys is more of a talking my way up. You know, I am the man. I am dominating this person, and this is how I'm dominating. Me myself personally, I'm gonna talk in your ear. I'm gonna do all kind. I'm gonna groan. I'm gonna grunt. I'm gonna growl. But we gonna talk. We gonna have a conversation. But that for me is more. I'm playing on the intimacy aspect of that woman, and it also feeds my ego. How about that? So yeah.
So how do you stop a woman from being overly like maybe upset or like to where okay, because a woman, right, is that's not really what well, I wouldn't say that's not, but I'm just saying a woman, if you're doing it right to her, right, and you're grunting, growling, and all that stuff is going into her subconscious mind, and then that magic is happening, right?
Mhm.
Then she becomes attached to you, right, to a certain extent. How do you make sure that that woman does not become attached to the, or do you want that woman to be attached to you when you're doing it? How
Oh,
do you
come on
stop
now.
that?
Every man wants a woman to think about him as soon as he's done. Um, but to be honest with you, that comes with communication. Black the minority people do not communicate enough. You know, like I tell people all the time, if you are a woman and you go on this date, it's a terrific date. First date, it's terrific. Everything is happening great, and y'all sleep together. And then the sex is amazing. It's talked to your ear, this and that, whoop whoop, blase, blase. The next day doesn't mean that y'all go together. You don't skip 20 other steps just because it was a great night. You still got to have that communication is, hey, you know, who are you? What are you? Do we really have matching energy, or was that just a great opportunity? You know what I mean? You gotta communicate. Point blank period. I don't care how great the sex was. I don't care how much he spoke to you when you were in that ecstasy mood. You know, you when you come out of that ecstasy mood, hey, find out what his blood type is. I'm
So
gonna hold the women responsible for that.
how do you what what is the difference between I'm sorry, my daughter tried to come in the room. Hold
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Okay. I can't be talking about that in front of a little 5-year-old. Anyways,
Permission is the
um
big one. Yes, what I'm talking about. Miss G, yes indeed.
so um so say that this person is might be a vanilla person that comes into like that world. I'm
Okay.
not sure if there's a combination like the BDSM parties are combined with the swinger parties. Are they separate?
Nowadays they are. Yeah.
They are okay. So in both situations, right? And then that person becomes attached because I'm imagining like when you're doing like a sub and dom situation that people can become attached to you a certain way, and in the same way that a person can become attached to you when you're doing like a sexual thing, even more so with the. How do you, being in the scene for this long, know how to like tailor it back? You say it's just only communication. So, but the thing is that once you've done it, like it's hard. Like, how do you? What do you do?
Now in a party aspect, it's hard to. It's not necessary in an instant moment. It's hard to find out the deep layers of a person, right? So you're at a party. It's the instant moment. It's hard to find out the deep layer of the person. Now, after something has happened and you start seeing signs of a deeper issue, then me myself personally, I'm going to address it. I'm going to address it. We're gonna walk outside. We're gonna talk. We're gonna have some conversation or whatnot. You know, I would love to. Um, get to know you as a person. You know, we can do that or whatnot, but this does not mean that we are now bonded with each other. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I mean, to be honest, when somebody walks into a situation like that, that's why I say a lot of people need to be educated in that aspect. If you're walking into a swinger party, every once in a while there are some good connections made out of those parties. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, those parties are sexually based. So the
Everybody know what they're
idea,
there for. They know what
Everybody
they're
knows what they're there for. Exactly. As far as the BDSM, you come into one of my events and you plan on getting a session or something like that. It ends there at the session. I mean, we can be friends, we can be this, we can be that, but we are not connected in that aspect. We exchange energy for a brief moment of time, but we are not connected in a lifelong term. So, I mean, it boils down to the communication. People, please do your homework and understand when you walk into these events, even though it might be the best sex in your whole entire life, that does not mean that that person is made specifically for you.
So, there was a question I was going to ask. Man, it just slipped my mind. Wow. So, man, that question just went out my mind. But so, my brain just slipped. Man,
I had
I
them
was
moments a
on.
lot. I had them a
I was
lot.
Man. You know what? This has been very very interesting. Like to find out about. Like so the whole thing. So how many connections have you seen? Like as far have you seen like marriages break up because of the fact that this whole thing's
And a
going
lot of
on?
marriages break up. A lot of relationships break up for miscommunication, not being honest. Irregardless on how honest people are, some people are still drawn to being dishonest. They still get a high out of that dishonesty. And usually that dishonesty backfires. It comes back to light, whatnot. But I have seen a lot of couples not ready to be in the environment, do a full swap to whereas it's penetration and everything else, and it hurt the other partner to the core. They weren't ready for it. That's why I said, try the soft swaps, see what it feels like when you're watching another man or another woman
Touching
touch,
your partner.
touch your partner or whatnot. Ease up on it. Don't just jump in there all the way full throttle because it will fuck your mind up. I mean, excuse my language. It will mess your mind up. So,
Okay, so I remember the question now. So I remember Shaka was saying that there was like he saw like in one situation where a woman like kind of was just going from person to person and just almost got dead in the eyes. You know what I'm saying?
uh,
Um, like so, have you seen that happen? And what do you think? How do you like? What do you think as a person that might be putting an event like that together? How do you even monitor that type of thing?
if you see someone, everybody at these events, a lot of people at these events usually have good intuition. So, if you see someone that's in a daze and just out there like that, then we'll all pull them to the side, or they'll bring it to my attention or something like that. But at these parties, you do have people that need an abundance of sex. They came for that. They came for 10, 20 people. I mean, it's no judgment on my part, but at the same time, that's their thing. That's what they came for. So with that being said, unless they're disoriented, who am I to stop it?
Hmm. Okay. One thing I did not do is to get your IG.
Taurus
Because
Wells. Y'all can see me. Taurus Wells on every platform. Taurus Wells.
let me put that up here. Because you also do yacht parties, right? So
I do a whole bunch of things. Yeah, which
so
a whole bunch
let's
of small,
talk
intimate
about
things.
some of the let's talk about some of the things that you actually do in your business in doing these parties. So let's talk about some of that.
And I like doing smaller, intimate parties. It's not necessarily about the money. It's about a good energy within a small community. Um, whether it be a yacht party, whether it be a hotel takeover, um, whether it be just an intimate getaway, quick getaway, like we'll book a resort or whatever. Um, and that's what I'm pretty much into. It's not necessarily a business. It's more or less my way of life, or the way I like it. I like for my things to be intimate and personable. Bringing back the sexiness of it, the allure. Um, that's not what I do. Like bringing money into the house, bringing money to that. I own a small trucking company. So other than that, I do a lot of parties. I'm just known for doing a lot of parties. I partner up with other people. the Red Room of Dallas. We created that. I'm not there anymore, but it's still here. Red Room of Dallas. It's a great erotic space to be rented out. Y'all can check that out. We got groups as far as like chosen few, things of that aspect that, we just pool our people together and we pick, mix, and mingle. So yes, communication, Elizabeth, communication is a must. It's necessary without a shadow of a doubt. It all boils down to that.
Miss G said submission in the bedroom is a whole different thing than what happens at these events.
Then what happens at these events?
Well, wait, I'm adding to that. She
Yeah,
said,
I was gonna say, I was like, I see that boy. Let me look. I'm not reading glasses. Hold on.
I did added some extra stuff to what she
Yeah, I'm
said.
talking about submission in the bedroom, a whole different thing. Yes, ma'am, it
It's
is.
kind
It
of the same.
is.
I think so.
It is.
So
It
let's
is.
go back.
That okay, say for instance, she made that statement. She felt the power in her femininity, her feminine aspect, that submissive. She felt that power. She loved that energy. He had that strength, or she had that strength to just dominate. And that just really turns a person on. I mean, and that's what she's pointing at. Yeah, she did add on, didn't you, Miss G? Look at her laughing.
I added all type of stuff to the end of that. I'm sorry, my bad.
Listen.
Okay, so she has a 25-year-old sub club. Now she says that she's a succubus. What is a succubus? And then, so do you guys have a lot of succubus and incubuses on there that like just
I
what is that? Like do
I
y'all
don't.
have
What
that?
Miss Bowen, what do you consider a succubus? Why don't you tell us what you consider a succubus? And if you is, but they have a lot to ask.
You can come join. Just click the link and you can join up and explain to us about the succubus energy. Because I'm like,
Dr.
is that
Sub
what's going
could.
on? Like a succubus up in the BDSM thing? A succubus?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to go to no event that's gonna be a succubus up in there. I'm scared. Like I ain't trying to or
That's a
incubus.
personal. She is speaking on a personal aspect of herself. So
Well,
that's
a
a,
succubus is what like takes your energy, right?
yeah.
That's why I was trying to talk about like sex magic. I'm like, okay, well, if you got incubus and succubus going on, then that can get into like they taking your energy and harnessing it and all type of interesting sex magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was saying. Okay, like so.
Look at her post. She said she got pretend nephews. You know what I mean? So it's a kink of hers, and she is more or less dominant in. She enjoys uh, teaching, draining, and showing a cub. So it's a thing. She's got a cub that's 25, and
What's
he's
a cub?
she's a cougar. Let's say she put on an aspect of a cougar. See, a cub is a young person. So she's got a
Oh,
cub. She's got a young person that she is pretty much putting through the ringer and enjoying the hell out of it. So
well, hell, can I get a cub to come and fix up my house and do what I need to do? Like a cub, do some. I need like my
you need a maintenance man.
car wash. Hey, is that a part of donation? Listen, go wash my car. I need you to wash my car, fix my. You know what I'm saying?
You say at that point you looking for a sugar baby. Hold on. Uh,
Okay, that's not the same thing. It ain't the same thing.
hey,
Because when I say,
because
okay, go and clean my dang on
I
my
mean, like you just said,
windows.
like you said that the men are putting these women in a trance or whatnot. It's the same thing with her. She's putting a man in a trance. You know what I mean? So if you can go out there and get the little young cub and put him in a trance and hold his hand and be that light tower for him, then I'm pretty sure he can fix things and wash cars and everything else.
Okay, well, I'm gonna need to go ahead and take some classes on that because I need some work around my house. Okay, like if I be a dominatrix and just be like, okay,
Hey, they
put
out
you in a
there. I mean,
train.
the
Okay, I
clubs
got to
do a little
get
bit of
your
everything.
energy.
Whatever you need. You know what I mean? So I mean, but it's got to be in you. You know what I mean? It's got to be in you. So when
Well,
you
I'm doing
so a partner of mine said, he said, you ever been in the classroom as a student and you knew this one teacher was going to walk in, and when they walked in, if you wasn't sitting up straight in that desk, then it was going to be an issue.
yes.
That's that dominant energy right there. When you walk in a room and everybody says, okay, that's a dominant right there. So it's got to be in you.
I think it's in there. I think it's in there.
She said, I'm doing something wrong. I need leg and back rubs on demand.
Hey, listen. Hey, free massage. Hey, I ain't gonna pay a masseuse. Come on now. Go on
That
in.
point.
Hey, teach
That
me how.
point.
Where do I sign up? Where is the Zub Club at? The Cub Club. Whatever.
There's a lot of headaches
Hey,
to go along with them cubs. I ain't gonna even lie to you.
man, you can't tell me you ain't hooking up with them dang on Cubs. Come on now. You
I,
ain't hooking. You
hey,
ain't
I
getting
got, I
no.
got, I got youngsters on my team. I'm not gonna lie to you. I got youngsters, and it's some headaches there, But at the same time, it's some dopeness there as well.
So a man's life force is in his ability to his ejaculation. So how do you stay virile enough to continue with all this like sex going on and the swinging and the this and the whatever and all the different type of women? How do you even stay ability like without just completely draining yourself of all your sexual and the protein in your body and all like the
Are we
vitamins
talking
and
about semen or the actual act of being able to get hard?
both?
Okay, so I have a cheat code because I've lived this life all my life, and as far as being able to perform, I can perform until I'm dead and in the ground. I had a procedure done. That was a surgery. As
Was
far
that
as
like a vasectomy?
no, I had an implant put in.
What?
Yeah,
Man, you is not playing, honey. You got a robotic ding-a-ling?
I do. I do. At any point, any time of
What?
day, as long as I want to. Yeah.
Do you pump it up? Like what is it
Yeah, you
like?
pump it up. You pump it up. It's a pump that no one knows about. You would never know unless I told you.
So you don't naturally get erect. You have to pump it up and to get that to keep it going. Do you feel like sexually gratified at
Of
all?
course,
And
of course. I actually, after the surgery, a while back, I was more sensitive than prior to. So yeah, I'm
wow,
more sensitive.
you
I
is not
still
playing.
come. I can still make babies. I I can come two,
Wait,
three, 4, 5, 6 times and just keep going.
so you come and you just gotta just still pumped it on up. How do you not get?
No, no, no. When it doesn't go
It
down
doesn't go
until
down
it doesn't go down until I let it down.
even after you have an orgasm.
Even after I have an orgasm.
What? I never even knew this existed, y'all.
Men,
This is
y'all go
some
out there.
next
Y'all
level.
go out there and check it out because I want to say, let's talk about that for a second. It
Okay.
is hey Crystal, it is an unspoken thing in on for men. Every corner store you go to, every Walmart, every beer store, gas station, or whatever, you'll see a get hard pill. You'll see it advertised on social media, get hard pill. This these pills and everything else are not good for you. You know what I mean? They raise your blood pressure. I mean, they cause clots, heart attacks, all kind of things. They're not good for you. Point blank. Period. If you're truly having an issue with that, then go talk to a doctor. Get something that's going to truly work and it's not going to put your health at risk.
Okay. So we have a new addition to the panel. C Shay 78. How's it going? Introduce yourself.
Hi, how y'all doing? I'm Crystal. Taurus just said hey to me. Can y'all hear me okay?
Crystal.
Okay. So you kind of have been hitting on something. I'm sorry, what was your name, ma'am?
Genesis.
Genesis, thank you. You've been hitting on something that I wanted to speak on too. And you mentioned about the magic, the way before the lifestyle. I called it bedroom voodoo is what I called it. But I am in the swinging lifestyle. And I don't really consider myself to be in the BDSM lifestyle because I'm not submissive in that way, but I do like submission in kink. So there's a little bit of a difference between BDSM and, in my opinion, there's a little bit of a difference between BDSM and kinking, because kinking is more like I'm taking a moment that for this moment, I am deciding to be submissive, or for this moment, so I'm deciding to be a bottom. I'm not a sub. That means in a play session, I'm deciding to be a bottom. I'm deciding to be submissive. And I'm deciding to let some male or female top me in that moment, let them dominate me for just that session. When I think of BDSM, I think more of long-term commitment. So if someone is a sub, they're committed to being in that submissive role. And so I personally make that distinction that I'm not a sub, but I do enjoy bottoming at events, or, I'm always up to do a scene with someone and be the bottom. But what I actually wanted to talk about, though, was in the swinging lifestyle, the goal is to have a good energy exchange. And
that's why I want to talk about the magic of it all, right?
Yeah.
Energy exchange, sacred energy exchange. That's what sex is.
Mm-hmm.
Sacred energy exchange. And so if you have people like this, a succubus, right? So say if you know what I'm saying? If you understand that there's different types of sexual energy,
yeah,
you understand that even you can manifest things with sex. You can do all type of different things with sex, right? Mm-hmm. How do you make sure that you're not getting succubus or incubus, or where your energy is being drained out of you in that sexual moment?
So I'm not going to speak to what the other lady meant by it, but I have also considered myself a succubus. And when I first started doing it, it was not inside of the swing. It was not inside of the lifestyle, the swinger lifestyle. I didn't even know that much about it. But when I first noticed it was, if, for example, it's erotic energy. So have you ever been really, really interested in someone, and you just gradually get closer and closer, and as you're talking, you end up being, just not within kissing realm of that person, and you can feel the ebb and flow of their energy? Have you experienced that?
Yes, I've actually done sex magic before. That's why I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, so the one of the first times I ever experienced it, I thought it was just in my head, and I was like, I'm tripping, but it just feels like we're waving with each other, and again, this was all before the lifestyle. I started to experience it more, though, when I was in the lifestyle, and I started to realize that when I would touch people, certain people, when I wanted to, I could feed them my energy, and I knew it was real by the way that they reacted to those touches. But then also in kisses and things like that, I would pull their energy from them. I find, and Taurus kind of spoke on it a little bit, there are a lot of very intuitive people in the lifestyle. You walk into a room, and if the energy is not right, or if someone's energy is not right, you just innately know, or I innately know, to stay away from that person. It's like, yes, we share energy with people, but we also pick up on the energy that's already there before those interactions even start. And when the energy is not inviting, when the energy is, you can just tell when someone is in that space for the wrong reasons. It's just, I don't know if it's because there's a room full of people that are, what I'm trying to say is we really kind of know.
When I say ghetto, I'm just joking.
No, not that. But I mean, it's not really about. In truth, it's not supposed to be. You're in a room, and half the people every woman got on lingerie, and every man. Well, I mean, they're not always dressed down, but if every woman has on lingerie, some of those financial social cues shouldn't really come into play. it should be about the energies that you're picking up from people, and that should make your decisions as to whether or not you want to go towards this person and interact with them, or if you don't. But I mean, like I said, I think the magic part really does happen, and it's you as an individual. You have to kind of learn who to share that with, because it might happen. It might happen without you even trying to make it happen.
Have you ever like experienced a sexual situation where you actually manifested something through sex?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're having sex with that person, you might, and when that person come, do you understand that when you come, that there's a magic you can actually, because you're opening up a portal,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can actually take that portal. That's the reason why. Okay, let's go into this. Alexander Crawley, right? Right. They used to have sessions, and they would used to use a lot of like interesting, like they used to like utilize like semen, blood, and like different like feces and stuff like that, right, in their sex, because they knew that it opened up a certain portal. But that was a more demonic portal, like because of those
Sure.
type of like solutions,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a portal you can open up with just the semen and the blood, if you don't like mix the poop in, right? And if you actually like do that, you can actually open up a portal and you actually speak something into existence, and then it happened.
Well, let me say that before we go deep into that, at these parties, there is a blockage.
I don't know what just happened, but
Wait,
you just blinked
say it
out.
again. You blanked out. I had to bring it back on.
In these parties, it's a blockage of mixing semen. It's called prophylactics. So, majority of the time, I won't say that in some of these parties it's not being mixed, but majority of the time, semen and everything is not being mixed. But
Yeah,
I
that's true.
understand you can open up something emotional or spiritual with the person by just connecting in the right form of fashion, sensually with them. Yes, you can. But
Yeah, fluid mixing is fluid. What is it? Fluid bonding. Fluid in parties.
bonding,
Fluid
yeah.
bonding is really frowned on. So there's certain things that you had asked earlier about how do you, and I'm talking about from the swingers perspective, how do you keep things in perspective, Genesis, and how do you keep people from making these attachments. Well, there's certain things in a swingers party. One of the things for me, this is me speaking personally, at a swingers party, those interactions typically aren't going to be 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. You don't have that much time to play with someone at a party to where you're going to
Bond.
create that deep. And then you're using protection, and there's those things that kind of keep it in perspective. Now, if you take that, it's more, I consider it an interview, to be honest. I consider a play party to be more of an interview. And so from that interview, that might pique my interest on someone. And if they're available for, a one-on-one type of situation, that might come home. And things do evolve. I mean, relationships do evolve through what might have started out as swinging. But if you keep it to where, I came to this event, I wanted to enjoy this energy. It seems like most of the interactions I've had with men in these environments, they have mastered how to give an amazing experience in this, allotted time frame that's there,
without it being like raw.
Without it being raw. Yeah. They're professional. it's great. And then you have, and we haven't talked about this yet, but this is from the woman's perspective. In the swinging lifestyle, I met more gentlemen in the swinging lifestyle than I ever met when I was vanilla. And I mean men that were just still treating you like a woman, not making you feel like a slut. If you're wanting to be a slut puppy, you can get that too. But if you want to have this erotic moment and you want to have sex with 5 men, and you go at this party and you knock down 5 men, have an amazing time.
No judgment.
you can still walk out of that space and men still treat you like a woman. You still treat you like a lady. I've never experienced that prior to getting into the lifestyle. And part of that is, as a man, you can't, if you made a crass judgment about a woman, that might be her husband sitting right next to you.
Wow.
That might be, you can't make those. You have to leave the barbershop out of it. And so it's definitely a change of thought process in that, because folks don't be in there fighting if you come out and make crass comments and that's somebody's wife. And if the husband is okay with her being this liberated, how dare you, come in and say something different? Yeah. So it's a different level as a woman. It's a different level of liberation being in the swinger lifestyle. And then that I found, that's just my personal opinion. That's been my experience.
Well, we have learned a lot today, and I don't want to give all the goose I don't want to give it all up, right? Because I hope that you're going to be there, Crystal, at the event on the 20th of September.
Now I want to. I just found out about it today. So
yes. So Taurus is going to be the person, the representative in the swinger and BDSM lifestyle. It's a town hall. This town hall came when Charleston White and Princella kind of got into it on the panel, and he was like, you know what, we need to have a real discussion, because, by the time that whole thing got through, they were, they were kicking over wine glasses and everything, talking about the male and female predicament, and that's the thing is that, like, I just want to be able to show different alternatives. Okay, you can be monogamous, you can be polygamous, you can be poly, you can get into we're not stuck in one, there's different plethoras, right?
Yep.
And so I want to show, we don't have to be sitting up here miserable in life, right? So I really want to invite everybody here to the event. I'm gonna put the Eventbrite. Hold on one second. I'm gonna put the Eventbrite. Please come to the event.
It's gonna be some food. It's gonna be some balcony seatings with a town hall, big event on the 20th. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be where the audience is able to interact with the panel as well. So
yeah. The real thing about this is this is not just a spectator where you're just listening to people talk. We want you to interact. We want to hear from you. I'm glad to hear from you, Crystal. Glad, and mainly to hear from Taurus, who's going to be on our panel to clarify a lot of misconceptions. I mean, I could have brought up some of our old interviews that we've had with people, Anton Daniels feels like the swingers lifestyle is the whole thing focusing on sex is demonic, right? So we're gonna have this discussion. You know what I'm saying? So I want you guys to come out and see the different aspects of the personalities that's going to be on this thing, because it's going to be a very, very enlightening conversation, and we want you to be a part of it. There is the Eventbrite. Get your tickets. It's $25. Just get your tickets.
it'll be a great time.
Please share.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to be out there listening to what everybody has to say.
We'll have some food, music, and hot topic type conversations. Yes, indeed.
Yes, thank you guys so much for your time. I don't want to go too far, making this too long, because we got way more to talk about. Thank you so much for your time and energy, Mr. Wells. And I might come to your next party. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, come on down to just be a fly on the wall. Come on down.
I'll definitely just only be a fly on the wall, because I'm not trying to get my behind beat.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'll be whooping the behinds. I'm not gonna be getting my behind.
We're gonna send you home with something on your mind. How about that?
I'm gonna be whooping behind. All right, I'll talk to you guys. Have a good night.
Have a good one, y'all. Be good.
Peace. All right. thank you guys. Thank you for showing up today. I hope that you enjoyed today's show, and I will see you guys on September 20th. Tomorrow we have Kevin Wesley. He's going to be talking about polygamy, you guys. He's going to be doing his part two about the polygamy conversation. And then also, we're going to probably do another installment of the women's panel where we all talk about all these different things. Thank you for being here with us tonight, and have a great evening.